Morning, everybody. This is my first session this morning, so welcome back to day 3 from me. Another session. We've got some great ones this morning. I hope you've been tuning in. Today, in this session, we're talking about accessibility, certification, and accreditation. Morning, everybody. So, this is my first session this morning, so
turn this off.
Day 3 from me.
Sound everywhere.
Another session. Apologies, technical. And I also just wanted to mention that we have had some issues with BSL. There is a gremlin somewhere in the mix, and I think in the last session there's a little bit of a delay somewhere, so we apologise for that. We're aware that it's not working exactly as planned, but I hope it's going to be fixed again now and keep going for the rest of the day. So let me introduce you to Klaus and Natali and Alice, who are joining me for this session. We're going to be talking about different forms of accreditation and certification that relate to accessibility. My interest in this was that I think you do hear lots of different models. Different people have certification. Lots of people are interested in receiving certification for either products or websites or apps. And we have some standards. There are global standards like WCAG. There are European standards. There are other benchmarking tools. But organizations are offering a badge that says, yes, these guys have done something particular. An organization or a device. So what we're going to just run through are 3 different models, and you'll see they're quite distinctly different. And then maybe think about how that works in terms of the way customers are coming to us and asking to validate the accessibility of the work they're doing. So Klaus, to start with you, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the scheme that you run.
Okay, my name is Klaus Hoeckner, and I was asked to spell the name of my organization. It's the Hilfsgemeinschaft der Blinden und Sehschwachen Österreichs, HGBS. That's the reason. We have another brand name. It's Access Austria. We are an organization working for blind and visually impaired persons since 1935 in Austria. We have 7,500 members and about 100 employees, and we are running a program called WACA, Web Accessibility Certificate Austria. But you can turn away the Austria because it's a program which aims to all the companies in the European room, and not only in the European room. It's an international program because it refers to the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Can I have the slides, please? There's only one slide, and this slide shows what we are doing. Yeah? We set up an independent organization. And the Hilfsgemeinschaft, the HGBS, is the one who is administering it. Yeah? We have a board of testers. We do now. Let's begin it in another way. Yeah? If somebody is coming to us and says to us, "Okay, I want to have my website certified according to international criteria." Then we say, okay, we can do this. We do this according to Web Content Accessibility Guideline 2.1, 2.2, AA criteria. And we do both. We do testing in an automatic way, but most of the testing is done by real persons. That means by a person with a disability according assistive technologies like a screen reader or a magnifier or other things that they need if they use the web. Then we have a methodology how to bring all these things together in a list, in a report. We do a retesting when we have the first result. Yeah? And if the website is compliant to the criteria, then it could be a bronze, a silver, or a golden standard that you can have. Yeah? We all do this together with the client comes to us. Yeah? We look at the website. Is the website, what is the CMS behind it, for example? Yeah? How many pages do you have there? How many different page types do you have there? Yeah? And then we choose a sample together with the client, and 20% of the sample is additionally a sample that we choose without telling it to the client. Yeah? All these things are then checked. automatically and by a person with disabilities. And in the end, the report has to be a report which has to be in accordance with all the testers that are involved. That does mean if one tester says no, I don't want to give them the gold standard, then they have to discuss as long as they are reaching an agreement which standard that they are getting. Or it's going back to the client and we tell the client, okay, you have to repair it. You have to repair this and this and this and that. Then we'll do a retesting. If you have the status of WACA, or WAC in this case, of disability certificate, then this does not mean that you are on the safe side. We are monitoring the websites, and you have the possibility, as a person with a disability or non-disability, it doesn't, to go to our supervisory body and to say, okay, this website doesn't comply because there was a change. For example, they changed the CMS or they changed whatever, or the content manager changed, and they forgot to put in all the alt texts or the link descriptions and so on and so on and so on. And after a certain time, there's a recertification. The money that they have to spend depends on the amount of pages. Why we have done this, one more sentence, why we have done this. We have seen there is a need for companies, if they want to say, we want to be engaged in accessibility, in digital accessibility, there is a need to show it also to the outside. And why not? Why don't bring companies that are compliant with all the needs for a person with disability to the outside and to show, okay, you're a hero. You do it, and one side is the product, and that means this is the website, and the other side was, we spoke about it yesterday, it was a certification for persons which are doing this, like IAAP, for example, or other certifications that we have on worldwide now on the table. I think we have to have both, and to have a kind of ecosystem. You have to be able to certify the product, you have to be able to certify the producer, and the third thing is you have to train the owners of the websites. And these are the three things that could come together.
And could you give me a sense of scale? How many certificates have you issued? I don't know how long it's been running, and how many certificates have you issued?
Werner will kill me when I now tell the Werner is the man who is in charge of it in Austria. When I'm not telling the wrong number, but I think it's 70 to 80.
Wow. Okay. And been running a couple of years, hasn't it?
It's running now since a couple of years. We started very slowly because nobody was interested in the beginning, because we started in 2012 or 2000.
Right.
But we have now a strong partner also on board. It's TÜV Austria. TÜV is der Technische Überwachungsverein, Technical Surveillance Organization, which is also working in Germany and in other countries in Europe, and they're a big organization. They're certifying all these technical things according to the standards that are valid at the moment in the European Union.
Cool, thank you. Thanks very much. I mean, it's a really interesting program that you've got going. I'm interested in the fact as well, I'm guessing that the more people who see the certificates, then the more people who want the certificates, that number then just grows, doesn't it? Natali, thank you for joining us. It's great to have you here. Could you tell us a bit about the certification that you're doing in ONCE? Introduce yourself, introduce ONCE for those who don't know it, and tell us a bit about the certification you're doing in ONCE, please.
Hi. Well, before I begin, thank you for inviting me. I'm Natali Gonzalez. I am an accessibility expert at ONCE Foundation in Spain. I am deaf, so pronouncing in English can be a bit challenging for me. So if there's anything that I say that you don't understand, please let me know and I will repeat. Okay. Well, we at ONCE Foundation are offering 2 accessibility certification seals. One of them is a mobile. In English would be a mobile. It means accessible mobile. This year certifies mobile devices for accessibility conformance. We don't test application, but rather the device in itself, specifically smartphones and tablets. And then we have another seal that is called ATech, that is short for accessible mobile. This year, it's short for accessible technology. This year certifies accessibility in technologies that are not mobile devices. For example, smart TVs, video game consoles, laptop computers, vending machines, and so forth. We are going to be offering under the TechShare a certification for video games. That will be done next year. Right now, we are reviewing many videos, as many video games that we can. So to build a database and have an idea of how accessible the video games actually are. We have been able to review 50 games for PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, and Xbox. And next year, we will begin reviewing games for mobile and computers. Then, in a year or two, there will be a certification for the video games. So, these certifications are awarded by type of disability because the purpose is to provide customers with information about the accessibility features in a product before they buy it. So, for example, one single mobile phone can be certified by us for people with hearing disability, but not for people who are blind. We specify that in the digital certificate that we provide the client, and the client is supposed to post their certificate on the website so potential customers can read what the product offers in terms of accessibility before buying it. So that's about it. Oh, before I end, our certifications are based on methodology we have created following the Web Content Accessibility Guideline, the WCAG 2.1, and the European Standard 301-549, accessibility requirements for ICT products and services. Thank you.
Fantastic, and that was all very clear. Thank you very much. I've got a question for you. You mentioned the European standard, and I think part of the motivation from the people that you're testing is that they want to have that certification as part of being able to access the European market. That's the connection, I think, isn't it, with the certification for them?
Yeah.
So
Can you repeat the question?
the client who's asking for the device to be checked, Samsung or the device manufacturer, they are looking for that badge, that certificate, to be able to access the market as part of the European regulations. Is that how they use it in relation to EN? What's the number, Klaus? 503?
301549.
301549. Sorry, was I clear there?
No.
No.
I'm sorry. Something wrong with it.
Let me try again. Why are the clients asking you to test their product?
Oh, how? Okay. I don't know. We don't have that many clients. Right now, Samsung is our biggest client. We had previous relationship with them for another project that we had where we were reviewing as much as mobile devices as we could, and they liked the product. They liked the project. So they contacted us wanting for us to certify the product, and they paid us for it. So right now we have certified 25 Samsung mobile devices and tablets and 10 smart TVs.
Okay. And do you have other clients who are interested as other tech companies?
Well, Sony is becoming interested, and we reviewed a smart TV they brought us, but it wasn't accessible. So we are working with them to help them how to improve.
Okay.
accessibility on that smart TV. So maybe next year they're going to launch a new one that is more accessible.
Okay, cool. Well, that's really positive that they're listening.
Yeah. But we're trying to get other people to certify the product, but I don't know if they're going to want to.
Well, I hope this is going to raise the
It's
profile.
pretty difficult, actually.
Well, I hope this will raise the profile of the service as well in terms of the other manufacturers.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Alice, welcome from AbilityNet. Could you say a bit about who you are and the work you do, and then tell us a bit about AbilityNet's accreditation process?
Yes, of course. Yeah, thanks for asking me to talk today. So my name's Alice Taylor, and I'm an accessibility and usability consultant at AbilityNet. So at AbilityNet, we do have two types of accreditation. They're known as Accreditation Plus and User Accredited. So for both of these types of accreditation, we require an audit and a user test to be carried out. And we also provide support throughout to help the client understand these reports as well. For Accreditation Plus, we require the client to fix all the conformance issues. So these would be the issues that come up in the WCAG report and all the issues in the user testing report. While for the user accredited accreditation, we require just the high and medium priority issues to be fixed in both the audit and the user testing report. So for the user accredited one, the low priority issues are not compulsory to fix in order to gain this accreditation. So which one a client aims for is decided between the lead consultant and the client following the first audit. So a client wouldn't necessarily come in and say they want to achieve a certain one. It would be a conversation once we've had that first audit to understand which is most achievable for the client. So for each accreditation, we have a lead consultant assigned to it as well as a support consultant, and provide ad hoc support throughout to help provide support for any queries that you might have. And we ultimately want to help the client understand how the end user interacts with their product and how it can be made better for them. So we do want them to succeed, and we want them to make a great product at the end of it. And it is time sensitive, so for our accreditation, we do require that the requirements are met within a certain time frame from the first audit. And once that accreditation is awarded, and valid for a year. And ultimately, the AbilityNet accreditation is more than just compliance. It can't just be stepped into. It is a process, and with our accreditation, we do want to acknowledge that hard work and dedication that a client puts into getting it through all the different processes.
Cool. And as you're saying there, it's based on that relationship with the client. So it's not simply a transaction. It's actually, this is a team you know and you work with, and you're sharing information back and forth. That's part of that process, I think, isn't it? To understand when people see what AbilityNet does, it's because we're working with these people continuously. You know who you're talking to. You've seen the work that they're doing. So that's part of that sort of. We can validate that, as you say, because we're working with them so directly. And that's part of your work with clients, I think, isn't it? So, you know, could you give me an example of some of the sites or organisations that we're working with in this way?
Yeah, so we have done the Western Power, so we helped them get the accreditation recently. So with these, we're kind of, they came to us and we helped them, as I said, process of doing the audit first and then deciding which aim of accreditation to go for, and then help support them throughout. And as you said, it's also helping to embed them the accessibility in the process, helping for it again not to just be about conformance, not just to be about ticking the WCAG criteria. It's about helping to get them to understand what is required, and so moving forward they have a better foundation. Mm.
And how big a website were we talking about there? When Klaus was talking about page numbers, be interesting to see how big is that? How big a digital estate have they brought us to check it with Western Power?
That's an excellent question. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I've just remembered we didn't point out that you're not David, and David was meant to be here, and he's not very well. So these are the questions we rehearsed with David. So, well, I mean, but it's a substantial service that they're providing through Western Power, isn't it? It's a significant, large organisation. I think that's what I was thinking about, the scale at which they're working and the teams that you're working with. You've got multiple members of the team that you're working with. It's not a small business. It's not a small website that you're working with. It's in the sense of how we do our certification. I know the other one that we do a lot of work with is Barclays, of course, and they've got lots of big in-house teams that are doing this work, and we're working alongside them. So just that sense of scale that we're working with them and connecting on quite substantial programs. And that occurs to me, Klaus, that maybe the organisations you're working with are a range of different sizes as well.
Yeah, typically they are bigger organizations. Yeah, like we have to, for example, we have the Austrian Institute of Technology. They have about 3,000 employees. The Austrian Railway Services, or another big chain is Rewe, which is they're running about 3,500 grocery stores in Austria and in Germany. Yeah, because they want to show that they are doing something in accessibility. Yeah, but the thing when I hear what I think there's really three very different accreditation things. We have a product that says, okay, we give you a certification for a website and what is on a website, and we are not doing anything about household devices or smartphones and so on. Yeah, we even don't certify the PDFs there on the website. Yeah, they should be. Accessible according to the WCAGs, yeah, and you know we have the standard, the PDF UA standard and so on, yeah, but that's another cup of tea, because when you have all the things as PDF on the website, forget it, yeah? You can't test it, yeah, and you can't. The remediation is the big problem.
Yeah, you can test them, but there's no point telling them how
testing
bad it
is good, yeah, but let's say 95% of the testing says, oh my God.
Yeah.
Forget it. Yeah. And regarding to the EN 301549, you also have to mention that that's a standard for public procurement.
Yeah.
What's upcoming now is the European Accessibility Act, which covers all the things in the private sector.
Yeah.
And I think this will be the big game changer, because you have a connection to the CE sign, and there is an enforcement. The first time we have a real enforcement, yeah, then we have a push and a pull from both sides for the companies to really comply to accessibility according to the rules, according to EN 301549 and all the other standards, because there will be upcoming standards too. Yeah? There is a mandate to the European Union to recreate or to reorganize 3 standards and to create 3 new standards according to the European Accessibility Act. Yeah.
But I think that's what's distinctive about Natali's service, if you like, is the access to the market that's implied within it.
The access to the market is
because if you can only procure services that are accessible to the public sector now and private sector in the future, that's a barrier to entry to the market. That was my question about Samsung, and that they clearly see that they need to have the certification to be able to enter the market, probably now in public sector, but definitely when that private sector, when the EAA comes through. So that's what I was wondering, Natali, in terms of other services that you're doing. You already work with other providers, so I'm guessing they must be getting themselves ready for this change.
Well, I don't know, I guess so. I don't know how to answer the question, because you're speaking a bit too fast for me to follow the actually.
I know Onse works with other providers anyway, that you said. So they already have a relationship with you, like you talk about Sony. And I guess that their concern is they won't be able to access the European market.
Well, right now we're only working with Samsung, Sony, and Microsoft. But Microsoft is not actually asking us to certify the product, but we hope they do in the future. We're trying to reach out and other companies, but like I said before, it's difficult because they don't see it as something important. They're not familiar with the standard or with the law. That's my opinion. It is impressive how accessibility is really not known. You know, a lot of people don't know about it, don't know the importance.
Thank you. And Alice, I guess that in terms of the way that we work with clients in AbilityNet, we know that there's only going to be a small number of people who are going to, or a small number of organisations who are going to be accredited because of the extent of the work that's needed. So this is always going to be an undertaking that they're choosing to do. There's no compulsion on their part. It doesn't give them any legal protection, for example. It's very much about them wanting to be doing it, which is a positive thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's like it's kind of an extension of the WCAG audit, so it's kind of it's really good for them to show their users that they're kind of doing this process, working with us, having that support, and so if a user can see that it's accredited, then that can the user knows what they've worked towards, and they're wanting to be accessible.
And Klaus, in terms of we mentioned the fact that if somebody got the certificate, their competitors maybe start to see that they've got the certificate. Are you seeing that shift?
Yes.
So people want to have it because there's either I must have it for legal reasons, but it's great if they have it for vanity or you know, public relations reasons or marketing reasons. That would be that they see it as a badge of honour.
There is no legal obligation to have it.
No.
But you mentioned also that there is no security that you're not compliant to the law when you get sued. But it gives you the clue that you are accessible when you do this. What to mention is it all depends on the persons that are working in the company. We have seen. It must be a downgoing process. The CEO must be the person, or the CEO must be the person who is willing to do that. And it's not a greenwash, like greenwashing, a social washing thing, because it's really hard work to make a website accessible. We don't give them the certification because it's a big company or it's a well-known company. They have to be compliant. So they have to work on it. But we are not doing the work. They have to do the work by themselves. And when they do the work by themselves within the departments that are responsible for the website, the hope is that it will maintain then. That will be a sustainable thing, a sustainable process that goes on when the website is changing. All the accessibility things are kept to the next version.
Cool. Well, we've seen three very different models. I think the two sides of the coin are why, you know, when people are motivated to do this, why are they asking for it? So is there a legal compulsion? They feel they must have this. Actually, not much from what we're saying. That's not generally what's happening. People are asking for it because they want to be doing something that's good practice, which is a positive sign. And then I think the other thing that I've heard is it's not many organisations actually that are using these sorts of certifications. Between us, you know, maybe 20 or 30, maybe 40 perhaps at the most, that we can do within our schemes. So this feels like the tip of the iceberg, that we're really seeing that these certifications, whilst we have all this stuff in place, actually the market isn't asking for this at the moment. Or if they are, they're beginning to spot. In the case of Hoeckner, they're asking for it more. But I think that's interesting that we're all aware of this, and it's interesting to learn one another's processes and procedures. But it feels like the market is unaware of its existence, as there's more promotion to be done. Like for Natali to say, you know, we've got Samsung. We want to have every tech company interested in having that certification. So it's great to have reviewed it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Klaus. Thank you, Natali. Thank you, Alice, for stepping in for David, who's unfortunately not well. And thank you for joining us. And do take a look at the different processes. They're all on our websites. There's various information out there. Of course, there are other certification schemes as well. But I do think it's interesting to see these differences and to think about how the people we're working with in our community, the accessibility community, the people outside our community, they're the ones we're communicating with. And let's see whether we can promote these sorts of certificates to them and show them the value of it. Great. Thank you very much for joining us. Yeah. And we'll be back soon with the next segment.